Well, today you are listening to Monday with the Mayor here on 18 WJTS, and we are on call with Mayor Noel Harty from Loogootee. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So
Beautiful day out,
it
isn't it?
is. It's been a little crazy these past few weeks, hasn't it?
It has. Since the last time we met, I think it was that very Friday of the week that we had met that we found out the schools were going to be off for, at the time we thought for 3 weeks, and then we thought until the 1st of May, and then yesterday it was announced that we're going to be out the rest of the school year. So it's an interesting time. You feel sorry for the high school seniors and all that, but it's better safe than sorry. And I think we all probably saw it coming, especially with the prediction that maybe the middle of April it may get worse before it gets better.
And what is Loogootee doing to protect their residents?
We started, and you probably heard, before it was probably the week before the announcement that school was going to be out and all that, we started a task force. In fact, I think it was 2 weeks before that. And so since that time, we've had about 5 or 6 meetings, and that's included the county health doctor and the nurse and the sheriff and various agencies. And we've done what we can. And the latest, they have ordered some thermometers for all the county and local offices. So we've made a lot of we've tried to encourage residents to just be out only when they have to be. Obviously, there's a lot of jobs out there that are essential and people have to go to work, but we've tried to make it clear that if you don't have to go to work or if you don't have to be out, then stay home. And some of our local stores have made it possible for the senior citizens to go earlier in the day and before and have their own time to go, so they can kind of take their time, if you will, and be able to shop and not be under quite as much as chaos. But we're in a community that has a lot of senior citizens, so I don't know if that reduced a lot of the crowd or not during that time, but maybe it even increased it for that hour. But still, maybe everybody's kind of more at the same pace and so forth. So we're trying to make as many strides as possible. To my knowledge, at this time, we still have no cases in Martin County, but we're still trying to do everything we can to prepare.
And how important is it for your residents to support those local businesses during this time?
It's I've kind of made it. I was on the show out of Washington a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, and we talked about this whole thing obviously has affected our healthcare workers, number one, and obviously it's affected residents. But our businesses, some of them, like grocery stores, are flourishing right now. They're probably having record sales of all time. But our restaurants, it's very difficult for them because there's no way that they're going to have the business as they did before. So it's very important we go out and we support them.
Yeah. And how are your residents following social distancing? Have you noticed anything with that?
I think, before 7 o'clock, there's some people around, but I think after 7 o'clock in the evening, it's pretty well everybody's. I mean, the streets, as they call it, have been pretty much, or the sidewalks have been pulled up. After 7 in the evening, there's not much action around.
That's good.
Yeah, I really think we're probably doing better than what we're giving ourselves credit for. But then on the other side is we need to continue that for probably the next month or month and a half. We probably need to, realistically, continue it until, all things are a go. And that's probably, realistically, probably not going to be until June 1st, I would imagine. But I don't know. I haven't heard that number, but by the looks of things with school and all that, it would seem to me that that's going to be the case.
And how are your schools handling the news with being closed for the rest of the school year?
Well, of course, just got the word yesterday, so I think they're trying to on Wednesday they had already sent out a survey to parents and wanting feedback on what to do about prom and what to do about graduation. And then we also have a production of Wizard of Oz that was supposed to transpire. In fact, I think it was this weekend. So, it was either this weekend or next weekend. So, they're trying to decide what to do, because the kids had already practiced for the Wizard of Oz and all that. And then, of course, graduation is an important, the ceremony is an important part of going to school for 13 years, counting kindergarten. So, and now, a lot of these kids go to preschool, so even longer than that. So, I think they're trying to decide what to do, and I think if it means maybe going into the summer and doing those things, then that's what they'll do. But it's a tough call for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think churches are going to do for Easter this year? I imagine they're going to do it.
Right. I do know that the Wise Ball Community Church at Shoals last week, they did do a drive-in service, and so it wasn't just a drive-through, but it was a drive-in type scenario, and I think that worked well for them, and maybe that might be something for Easter Sunday that maybe might be. Of course, all of these things are dependent on the weather. If the weather doesn't cooperate, then there you are. If the weather is like today, you can have something where everybody would just stay in their cars and watch the minister or the service. But if the weather is raining and pouring down rain, you can't do all those things. So.
And how important is it for residents to be washing their hands frequently right now?
I think that's the big key. Yesterday I kind of urged people to, and you hear everything. That's the problem is 1 minute you hear everybody needs to be wearing masks, and then the next thing you hear that that's not really beneficial. But what we have heard throughout this, and then the same thing with gloves. 1 minute you hear, well, wearing gloves is a great thing, but not if you can't switch them out every time you have a transaction or something like that. So I think the most important thing, though, that you've heard is sanitizing your hands, and probably more than you want to, but, I think that's the biggest thing, and not touching your face, which I'm the biggest culprit for that. So.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anything else you'd like to add for today?
No, it's a different time, and as we all know, so, but it is what it is, and we have to just make the best of it, and, things will get better, and sooner than later, but, the key is really staying off the streets, and the sooner we do that, probably the sooner we'll get things back to normal.
Well, awesome. Well, you've been listening to Monday with the Mayor here on 18 WJTS due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've been on the phone with Mayor Noel Harty of Loogootee. Thanks for listening. You're watching WJTS, local people watching local people.